What if I told you that a small West African country, once dismissed, overlooked, and underestimated, was secretly building one of the most advanced, self-reliant military industries on the continent? What if I told you that while global powers played chess with African lives and resources, this nation quietly flipped the board, changed the rules, and walked away from the table entirely? That nation is Burkina Faso. And the man leading this bold transformation is Captain Ibrahim Traoré, not a leader molded by colonial institutions, not a politician trained to please foreign donors, but a son of the soil. A warrior, a visionary, and a voice of a generation that has decided Africa will no longer beg for dignity. There comes a time in the life of a nation when silence becomes betrayal, when staying quiet in the face of injustice is no longer wise diplomacy, but submission. Burkina Faso has reached that moment, and rather than whisper apologies to foreign partners, Captain Traoré chose to roar a new declaration. Never again. He didn't make empty speeches. He acted. While others talked about sovereignty, he built it with his hands, his team, and his unwavering belief in Burkinabè capacity. Under his leadership, Burkina Faso has taken a revolutionary step that once seemed impossible. The local production of high-grade, modern military equipment worth billions of dollars. This isn't exaggeration. Tanks, armored carriers, combat drones, surveillance systems, cutting-edge tools of modern warfare are now being proudly designed, built, and tested on Burkinabè soil. No second-hand donations, no outdated leftovers, no fine print from foreign powers. These are machines made by Burkinabè mines for Burkinabè missions. Every time a drone lifts off the ground in Ouagadougou or a tank rolls out of a factory in Bobo-Dioulasso, it doesn't just carry firepower, it carries pride. It carries a message. It screams to the world, we are no longer dependent, and we will never be disrespected again. This revolution is not just military, it is spiritual. For decades, Burkina Faso, like many African nations, was portrayed as fragile, incapable, and always in need of help. Foreign cameras zoomed in only when there was famine, war, or instability. But now, those same lenses are struggling to capture the scale of transformation underway. What Traoré has ignited is not a simple defense upgrade. It's a national rebirth. In factories once silent, machines now roar. Engineers once underemployed are now designing life-saving vehicles. Technicians trained abroad are returning home to train others. Diaspora talent, long exiled by lack of opportunity, is coming back, not just for jobs, but to be part of a revolution. Inside these industrial zones, the work is non-stop. Engineers are adapting designs to Sahel conditions, dust storms, heat waves, mountainous terrain. Drones are being tested to endure scorching temperatures. Armored vehicles are reinforced to handle both desert ambushes and urban insurgency. Every bolt tightened, every circuit tested is a symbol of a sovereign will refusing to die. None of this happened by chance. This was part of a classified initiative named Project Rebirth. Captain Traoré and his closest strategists spent months analyzing where the country was most vulnerable, militarily, economically, logistically. Instead of throwing money at problems or waiting for foreign solutions, they crafted their own blueprint. This blueprint is now a living reality. No more overpriced imports that don't work in the field. No more dependency on delayed shipments from disinterested allies. Every franc spent in Burkina Faso now strengthens the local economy, builds skilled labor, and fortifies national defense. But the ripple effect goes far beyond military production. Schools are being reimagined as innovation hubs. Technical colleges now include drone programming and electronics in their core curriculum. Drone pilot training isn't just for military use, it's also expanding civilian aviation and agricultural surveying. Former warehouses once filled with tools imported from Europe now produce their own. 3D printers are prototyping parts once impossible to obtain. By day, these machines make shell casings. By night, they craft components for tractors, hospital equipment, and solar infrastructure. This isn't just military. It's the foundation of industrial self-sufficiency. Entire neighborhoods are being revitalized. Roads built to move equipment are now connecting markets and communities. Electric grids expanded for factory needs now power homes. Local businesses are feeding workers and fueling secondary industries. What began as a defense project has become a full-blown development engine. And the most beautiful part? Women are at the center of this movement. Female engineers are leading some of the most complex operations. Mothers are setting up community learning spaces to teach computer literacy. Girls in school are no longer taught to dream of escaping to Europe. They are taught to imagine themselves as builders, coders, creators of the new Burkina Faso. This isn't just an army being built, it's a society being reimagined. Let's pause here and offer our deepest gratitude to you, our subscribers, our supporters, our truth seekers across Africa and the diaspora. You are the heartbeat of the voice of Africa. You are the reason we can tell these stories without censorship, without apology, and with the pride they deserve. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, like this video, and share it with your community, because every share is a spark in Africa's growing fire of freedom. Now, as Burkina Faso rises, the world watches in disbelief. Intelligence agencies are baffled. Policy analysts are confused. How did a so-called aid-dependent country bypass foreign bottlenecks and build a domestic war industry in less than 2 years? Captain Traoré isn't waiting for the world to catch up. He's moving forward, and he's not alone. Regional partnerships with Mali, Niger, and Guinea are already forming. The idea? A Sahelian defense coalition, not just shared patrols or training, but joint manufacturing, research, and technological innovation. This isn't just Burkina Faso's story anymore. This is a movement, one that could redefine what African unity looks like, not just in words, but in factories, in command centers, and on patrol. Critics try to scare people by saying this militarization could provoke foreign sanctions or worsen the economy. But they miss the bigger picture. The billions invested in military production aren't a loss. They're an investment in sovereignty, in dignity, in nationhood. Every factory means jobs. Every research lab means innovation. Every armored vehicle that rolls off the production line represents one less reason to depend on a reluctant ally. This isn't a military state, it's a self-sustaining one. And the youth, they finally have a future to believe in. For decades, young Burkinabè grew up under the weight of insecurity, poverty, and foreign manipulation. They watched their best minds migrate abroad. Now they see engineers in their neighborhoods. They see women in leadership. They see a government that doesn't just preach nationalism, it builds it. Captain Traoré has become more than a president or soldier. He is a symbol, a guiding flame for a generation that refuses to inherit the chains of their forefathers. And his message is clear. Burkina Faso is not here to be instructed, pacified, or pitied. It is here to lead, to inspire, to stand firm. The mission is simple. Build your own, feed your own, defend your own. That is the heart of the Burkinabè model. That is the soul of this revolution. Expect to see military expos in Ouagadougou, where African nations line up to witness homegrown technology. Expect to hear of trade deals not just for cotton or gold, but for surveillance systems, armored trucks, and unmanned aerial vehicles. Expect the region to shift. Traoré understands what most leaders fear to admit. You cannot decolonize your politics, your economy, or your identity without first decolonizing your defense. Without the ability to defend your land, your ideas are just that, ideas. Every Burkinabè bulletproof vest, every surveillance drone, every GPS-guided missile isn't just a tool of war. It's a declaration. A rejection of dependence, a rejection of victimhood, a bold proclamation that Africa, when it dares to believe in itself, is unstoppable. Burkina Faso no longer asks to be included. It no longer knocks on doors that were never built for it. It builds its own doors, and soon it will build them for others. So if this story moved you, challenged you, or inspired you, don't let it end here. Let it grow. Share this video. Comment your thoughts. Ask your leaders why your nation can't do the same. Because this isn't just a Burkinabè story, it's an African call to action. The future is not in Brussels, it is not in Beijing, it is not in any capital that views Africa as a client instead of a partner. The future is here, the future is African, and it begins with nations like Burkina Faso, once forgotten, now forging their own destiny with fire, grit, and pride. This is the voice of Africa, and our voice will never be silenced.